According to the doctrines and beliefs of the church, Anna Duggar will be blamed for the child pornography allegations that have been brought against her husband, Josh. The argument is that she didn't satisfy him enough. He was sentenced to 151 months in jail following a trial that lasted for 2 weeks. Josh, who was 34 years old at the time, was arrested in April 2021 on allegations of child pornography. According to Mary Murphy, a former acquaintance of the Duggar family, churchgoers blame Anna, 34, for her husband's crazy actions. This information was shared in an exclusive interview with the United States Sun. In what she views to be a cult, Mary is a member of the IBLP, which is the religious group to which the Duggar family belongs. Mary is a second-generation survivor of the IBLP. One aspect of the cult culture centers on the responsibility of females to meet the husband's every single sexual need in order to prevent him from having affairs, sexually abusing children, and watching pornography. Mary Murphy, who produces the podcast Out of the Shadows with Mary Murphy, said in an interview with the United States Sun, "If the husband is responsible for any or all of those things, they place a significant amount of blame on the woman. Oh, if you had satisfied his requirements, he wouldn't have done this," they said. Anna is going to be the one they blame. When it comes to pornography, Anna has the key. I feel terrible for him because his wife is not meeting his requirements. Therefore, he turned to pornography. It is necessary for the wife to fulfill her responsibilities and fulfill his requirements. It defies all known reasoning. She went on to say, "It is not surprising that Anna is supporting him because that is what she is being told, and it is her responsibility. Due to the fact that she is growing up in this society, she is taking responsibility for herself and blaming herself for the situation. Not that I'm surprised that she hasn't left yet. We were educated, forced, and brainwashed to believe that the primary job of women and wives is to provide support for their husbands and to ensure their success. There are no exceptions to this rule. It is the husband who comes in first. It is Mary's hope that Anna will make her escape and leave. Josh is currently serving his time at the Federal Correctional Institution Seagoville in the state of Texas." She went on to say, "I continue to have hope that she will make the decision to leave in order to safeguard her children." She was present in the courtroom and was able to personally hear everything that was going on. "How I wish she had already left. Now that she has been exposed to everything, she is responsible for that obligation." Mary is grateful and relieved that Josh is finally behind bars. She thinks this is a good thing. It is imperative that the 7 children who refer to him as their father are shielded from him for the rest of their lives. Every single child does, but especially the 7 of them who refer to him as dad. That he is attractive is not surprising to me. I anticipated that he would. Maintaining that he is innocent is something that he, his parents, and everyone else does. Undoubtedly, he would file an appeal. The history of Josh. Up until the time of his conviction for child pornography, Josh had a troubled past. In 2015, a 33-page Arkansas police report was made available to the public. The report stated that the father, Jim Bob, admitted to the local authorities that his oldest son, Josh, had fondled the breasts and genitals of young girls while they were sleeping in the Duggar family home years earlier. In no way was Josh ever charged. Because of the report filed by the authorities, the reality show that the family had been working on, 19 Kids and Counting, was canceled. 3 months later, Josh was suspected of utilizing the adultery dating service Ashley Madison. The allegations were made against him. According to a statement that Josh released, he claimed, "I have been the biggest hypocrite ever. Over the course of the past few years, I have been surreptitiously viewing pornography on the internet. This has turned into a secret addiction, and as a result, I have been unfaithful to my wife. I have believed in the importance of family and faith, but I have been doing this." Sisters break free from prison. A recent interview with the United States Sun revealed that Mary is quite proud of Jill, the daughter of Jim, Bob, and Michelle, for her ability to break free and speak out against her family. An earlier statement made by Mary was as follows, Jill has very courageously stood up and spoken out about Jim Bob. It takes a lot of bravery to do it when there is so much at stake. At some point in time, I hope that Jill will also share her tale. I am so proud of her and everything that she is doing to expose the lies and indoctrination that we were subjected to while we were growing up. In order to make her own choices and discover her own voice, she is actively searching for the truth and reality that exists in the world. Jill Dillard, who is 31 years old, and her husband, Derek Dillard, have distanced themselves from her father, Jim Bob, after they accused the patriarch of withholding money from the family's reality show Counting On: The Journey of Jinger. Additionally, she expressed her support for Jinger, who is in the process of publishing a memoir titled Breaking Free Evidently. She made the following statement: "Taking the initiative to tell your own story is an essential component of regaining your agency and discovering your personality. She is breaking free, and I am not in the least bit surprised by this. I have high hopes that each and every one of them will eventually become aware of the truth and take the first step towards liberation." This does not surprise me. I am exceedingly thrilled for her as she continues to make progress and recover from her injuries. Leaving the shadows behind. In her podcast, Out of the Shadows with Mary Murphy, she discusses the experiences of people who have survived the purported cult from the time they were members of it. "I was a stay-at-home daughter until I was in my mid-20s, she says, referring to her own personal experience as a survivor. "As time went on, I became aware of the hypocrisy that existed within my own family, which stood in contrast to the public persona that we presented to the world. As I started to recognize it in my own mind, heart, and life, I realized that. It was then that I began to fight back against that. Seeing that they were likely to lose control over me, my parents took action. For the sake of protecting their reputation and facade, it was of the utmost importance for them to keep control of me. I was turned away from the cult and excommunicated from its ranks. It was at that point that I became disconnected from the Duggar girls in particular. Caleb Williams, a friend of the Duggar family who is a sex offender, is going to go to trial after Josh Duggar accused him of committing the child pornography charges for which the star is currently serving time in prison. After being suspected of sexually abusing a youngster on or between May 2015 and May 2018, Caleb, who is 28 years old, was taken into custody for criminal sex abuse. In comparison to his victim, who was only 16 years old at the time of the crime, Caleb was 23 years old. When the mother of the victim found out that her daughter was pregnant with his kid in July of 2018, she immediately moved to have an emergency order of protection issued. A sentence of 62 days in jail and 18 months of probation was handed down to Caleb. Then, in the year 2020, Caleb submitted a request for a portion of the custody of the kid that he had created with the minor victim. The United States Sun is able to report in an exclusive manner that Caleb will be going to trial in the custody issue. According to the court documents, the trial has been scheduled for February 24, 2023. According to documents that were received from a court in Illinois, Caleb asserted that the birth of his child with the woman occurred in February of 2019. According to the documents filed with the court, Caleb is more than capable of making important decisions in the rearing of the minor child and is able to provide the minor child with a healthy environment as well as love, adequate supervision, and attention. Caleb is able to provide the minor child with a secure and nurturing environment so that the child is supported, and the relationship that the child has with the mother is encouraged and fostered, asserting that he and the mother are both fit and proper parents, and each is a suitable carer to allow for an allocation of meaningful parenting time for each parent with the minor child. He stated that he and the mother are entitled to the claim. Caleb asserted that he had definitely not been permitted to have any contact with the child. According to the document, Caleb is concerned that his daughter will soon begin to suffer irreparable mental and emotional damage as a result of the ongoing separation from her alleged paternal father. Specifically, Caleb asked for an order to assess child support, as well as parenting time and parental duties obligations. Response from the victim. As a response, the mother denied him custody of their child and refused to grant him custody. Caleb entered a guilty plea to the charge of aggravated criminal sexual assault in January of 2020, and she mentioned that this was in reference to his relationship with her. Due to the fact that he had entered a guilty plea, she stated that he shall not be entitled to an allocation of parental responsibilities or parenting time without the consent of the child's mother. It was stated in the court documents that the mother of the children does not consent to parenting time or an allocation of parental responsibility as requested by Caleb. Additionally, the mother mentioned that Caleb had not paid any support for the minor child and is obligated to do so retroactive to the child's birth. This was mentioned in the context of the matter. She is demanding that the court reject his pleas and require him to pay child support as well as other costs associated with her case. To response, Caleb submitted a petition to the court requesting that his desire for parenting time be granted. Ties made of Duggar. Caleb felt a strong connection to the Duggar family, as seen by the numerous photographs that were taken of him with them. The eldest daughter of Jim Bob and Michelle, Jana, who is 32 years old, was rumored to be the object of his romance. Caleb and Josh were co-workers at Wholesale Motor Cars, the used car lot that Josh owned. Game of blame. At the moment, Josh, who is 34 years old, is being held at the Federal Correctional Institution Segoville in Dallas, Texas, where he is serving a sentence of 151 months for his conviction of child pornography. At the beginning of April 2021, he was taken into custody and charged with both possessing and receiving child pornography. Before reaching a verdict of guilty, the jury deliberated for a total of 2 weeks during the trial. An appeal was submitted by Josh, who placed the blame for the crimes on his employee Caleb. In his appeal, Josh claimed that Caleb Williams worked at Wholesale Motor Cars, regularly used the HP computer, was extremely tech-savvy, and sent Duggar a text message on May 7, 2019, offering to watch the lot during the coming week. Josh made the claim that law enforcement failed to meaningfully investigate Williams as a potential perpetrator. The disgraced reality star asserted that he and his team made an effort to bring Caleb to the stand, but the federal court did not permit them to do so. The only obvious reason why the defense is wanting to call him is because Caleb Williams is a sex offender, the government responded. What else could possibly be the reason? Josh asserted in his appeal that the district court had reached the following conclusion. The district court concluded that Duggar would only be permitted to ask Williams whether or not he has knowledge or recollection of being present on the car lot on or about May 13 through May 16, and if he ever remoted into the office machine, and if so, the time periods in which he would have remoted in. In his statement, Josh stated that his team chosen not to call Caleb Williams for the very limited purpose that the court would allow us to, because of the requirements that were outlined by the government. I feel terrible for him. According to a statement that Caleb sent to the United States Sun at the time of the filing, he said, I feel more compassion for him than anything else, especially for his family. It is my opinion that this is a major public relations stunt, and I understand that he wants his freedom. The only thing I really hope for is that he is able to get some assistance, and that by the time he is released and able to continue on with his life, he has become a productive citizen. When somebody genuinely takes actions that are positive in their life to make a difference in the poor mistakes that they've made, I am all for second chances. I believe strongly in the concept of second chances. The first step in that is to accept responsibility for your actions.